It's been 15 months since we brought reactive attachment disorder into our home. It's abbreviated RAD. I don't know about you, but when I was a teenager, we used RAD as a high praise superlative. RAD was better than awesome. Let me tell you, RAD is definitely radical. It's left me in awe many times. It came disguised as a beautiful 5-year-old orphan in a rural Russian town. My daughter used to hurt herself. Not the fall and bruise her knee kind of hurt. This infliction is indescribable. You have to experience it to understand. I don't think anything has ever pierced my soul like watching her bite herself. The teeth marks were deep and purple. In these times, it was truly as if she were possessed. And one day, my 8-year-old son told me that part of her belonged to the devil. I don't know where he got that idea, but I understood it. How could she bite herself repeatedly and so hard? Her eyes rolled in the back of her head, and there were no words that could console her. I used all the training I've received in teaching children with behavior problems and restrained her in safe holds, but it wasn't always successful. Her upper body is so strong in compensation of her lower body being paralyzed that she could sometimes escape my restraint and get her arms in her mouth. I took many headbutts, biting, and scratches. I quickly learned not to wear any jewelry because she would just rip it off. As I held her safely, I would reassure her that I was not going to let her hurt herself. Many times she stopped, only to go back to it as soon as I released her. My mommy heart shattered into a million tiny pieces as I was unable to take away the deepest of emotional pain she was feeling. As she fiercely struggled to liberate herself from the safety of my arms, I must have appeared apathetic. In my attempt to remain calm, my face was vacant of emotion. In order to control myself, I had to detach from the tragedy of the situation. In the beginning, shock was the only thing that brought an end to the anguish. There was no physical pain she couldn't endure during these times. Only the sight of her own blood brought her back to sensibility. My husband didn't know what to do, other than video some of the occurrences so that we would have documentation for our social worker. Her life was no longer predictable as it was in the Russian home for invalids. There, she knew a precise schedule, strict rules, and nannies that came and left. Being in a family changed everything. That change brought out her severe need for control over people and situations. In the midst of one of our struggles, I pretended to cry. I don't know where that scheme came from, but it worked. She stopped immediately, as someone had just pressed her power button. She looked up at me, and she said, "Are you crying, Mommy? Let me see. I want to see you cry." When my 8-year-old son came to me with tears streaming down his face, begging me to send her back, I didn't know what to do. He'd watched the self-mutilating episodes and seen his mom get scratched, bit, headbutted, and spit on by this other child. We'd missed school and extracurricular events we normally would have attended because I couldn't leave her, and taking her was just not an option. He watched as we smiled when everyone told us how beautiful she is, sent her gifts, and praised us for what we had done, getting her out of Russia in the middle of political turmoil. Most still don't realize that our traumatic adoption process was nothing compared to what we experienced the first few months she was home. They see a wheelchair. They know the multiple surgical procedures she's had since we brought her home. People say these things make me a hero. That couldn't be further from the truth. I'm a mom who loves her kids. I did all I knew how to do. I held them both. I cried with them both. I validated their feelings, and I prayed with them both. I told my son that the truth we had to hold on to was that God called us to do this. We had all agreed. And that if we believe that God's plans are to prosper us and not to harm us, We just had to hold on and do the right thing, and everything would turn out okay. There were still plenty of bumps along the way, but my family has made it to the other side of that first year. It's felt like a miracle. You know what RAD is? It's unconditional love. I have an amazing family. We are radical.